After I let my son die alone, he came back to thank me. I haven't set foot in my master bathroom in 26 months. Tonight, I heard the water running. It's a sound I know better than my own heartbeat. The specific groan of the pipes in this old house, the hiss of the faucet, the heavy splash of water hitting the porcelain basin. It was the only sound that could soothe him in the end. For me, it's the sound of failure. The soundtrack to the worst thing I've ever done. My name is Awife. That's a name that means beautiful or radiance. I've never felt less like my name than I do right now, standing in the dark hallway, my bare feet cold on the floorboards, listening to a ghost run a bath. It all started because I didn't want to die alone. That's the grand, selfish reason I kept him. My mother, Roisin, had been swallowed whole by a disease that stole her mind before it took her body. She was a brilliant accountant, sharp and precise, and then she wasn't. It started with forgetting numbers. Then she'd lose her way in conversations, her eyes going glassy and distant. The doctors danced around names, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, but they never pinned it down. They just watched as she unraveled. I was living on my own by then, trying to build a life. I'd visit her and find the garden she loved choked with weeds, the house a minefield of takeaway cartons and empty gin bottles. Near the end, she couldn't swallow. Pneumonia took her mercifully. Her own body drowned her. I saw what it was to die with no one, to be a burden and a mystery. A few weeks after her funeral, I found out I was pregnant. The father was a charming blur from a pub, a man on a business trip who disappeared back into the ether. I had no one, so I kept the child, my son, my Kalen. I tried to stop drinking for him. God, I tried. Every article I read talked about support systems, about family being the reason they got sober. I had a ghost in a nursing home and a memory of a man's laugh. But when Kalen was born, when he looked at me with those wide, dark eyes, I thought I'd found my reason. When he first laughed, a real, gurgling belly laugh, I swear the sun came out in my chest. I didn't touch a bottle for 6 years. He was my world. He was impatient and full of fire. On his 5th birthday, he plunged his entire hand into the cake before we could even light a candle, emerging with a fistful of frosting and a triumphant grin. He was obsessed with dinosaurs, the massive, impossible creatures of a lost world. He had a favorite, a mosasaurus, a plastic toy he took everywhere. He loved the bath, too. He could spend hours in there, submerged to his chin, sailing his mosasaurus through soapy waves. It was his safe place, his ocean. One afternoon, we were at the beach, and the mosasaurus vanished, stolen by the tide. He was inconsolable. For weeks, every time we went back, he'd search the shoreline. I couldn't bear his sadness, so I bought an identical one online, and the next time we went, I buried it in the sand near our blanket. When he found its tail sticking out, the shriek of pure joy he let out is the most beautiful sound I have ever heard. Mama, I told you he'd come back. That look on his face, it was worth anything. Then the sickness came for him. It didn't start with a seizure. It was quieter, more insidious. He started talking about himself in the third person. Kalen is hungry, he'd say, while looking right at me. Or he'd watch his own reflection in a window and ask, "Who is that boy?" the school called. He'd been standing in the middle of the playground, perfectly still, for an entire recess, just staring at his own hands as if they were foreign objects. I took him to a neurologist. CT scans, blood work, all of it came back clean. Childhood eccentricities, one said. He'll grow out of it. But he didn't. He grew inward. The boy who chattered endlessly about prehistoric predators went silent. He became skittish, anxious. Then the physical symptoms began. A tremor in his hands, a stumble in his walk. He started struggling with buttons, with holding a fork. I took him back to the specialists. This time, when they asked about family history, I told them everything about Roisin, the way her mind had frayed at the edges before her body gave out. A leaden dread settled in my stomach. They took a DNA sample. The weeks I waited for the results were the longest of my life. The day the doctor called me into his office, I knew from the pity in his eyes. He didn't have to say the words. Huntington's disease. A genetic curse passed down from my mother. A death sentence. No treatment, he said. The word sterile and meaningless. No cure. I pulled Kaylin out of school. I started drinking again. Just a glass of wine at night to take the edge off. Then two. Then a bottle. I was watching my son, my beautiful, vibrant boy, get erased line by line, and the only comfort I could find was at the bottom of a glass. The sparkle in his eyes dimmed. The boy I knew was being hollowed out, leaving a confused, frightened shell. He'd have fits of rage followed by writhing, uncontrollable movements. Then came the confusion, the blankness. The one place he still found peace was the bath. The water seemed to calm the storm inside him. I'd carry his stiffening body, lower him into the warm water, and for a little while, the tremors would ease. He would just lie there, his gaze distant. I wished he would die. I hate myself for writing that, but it's the truth. I looked at this child I loved more than my own life, and I wished for it to be over. For him. And for me. I couldn't take it. I fed him through a tube. I changed his colostomy bag. I watched him disappear. And I drank. The last time I saw him, he couldn't speak anymore. Just guttural, agonizing sounds. I lifted him into the tub, his breathing steadied, his eyes half closed. I knew he was still in there somewhere. I knew he felt the warmth, felt safe. I should have stayed. I should have held his hand and told him I loved him. Instead, I turned and walked out of the house, straight to the nearest pub. I was already drunk. I got drunker. The next thing I remember is the floor of a police station and the taste of my own vomit. A neighbor had called about the smell. They found him in the tub. The water had long gone cold. He had been dead for days. I pled guilty. They gave me a year for criminal negligence. I begged the judge for more. I wanted to be punished. I deserved to rot. But all he had in his eyes was that same look as the doctor. Pity. When I got out, I came back to this house. The silence was a physical thing, a weight that pressed on my chest. I poured every drop of alcohol down the drain. I haven't had a drink since. Which brings me back to tonight. Standing in the hall, listening to the water run in his bathroom. My heart is a frantic drum against my ribs. My feet move on their own, one leaden step after another. The door is ajar. I push it open. The moonlight is thick, like blue milk, pouring through the frosted window. It illuminates the clean white tile, the room scrubbed sterile by a hazmat team 2 years ago. For a second, a wave of calm washes over me. Then I turn to the tub. My breath seizes in my lungs. It's long and segmented, and the color of bleached bone. Each of its 6 limbs is impossibly thin, bent at sharp, insectoid angles. Its body is a tapering white stem covered in fine, glassy bristles. It's folded into the tub, its knees tucked up to where a chest would be. The water from the faucet pours over its smooth, narrow head. It has no mouth, no nose, just a vacant, polished surface. But above that, there are 2 small, dark circles, ringed with puckered, scarred-looking tissue. In the center of those circles are 2 pin-prick pupils, his eyes. I know those eyes. I should be screaming. I should be running. But all I feel is the crushing gravity of my own guilt. I fall to my knees, my forehead nearly hitting the cold floor. A sob tears out of me, a raw, ugly sound. Snot and tears run down my face. I'm sorry, I choke out, over and over. Kaylin, I'm so sorry. A voice fills the room. It sounds like a radio tuned between stations, a crackling, whispering static that vibrates in my bones. Did you know, some bugs live their whole lives under the water, just waiting to come out? I look up, gulping for air. I know that. You told me that. You love those documentaries. The puckered rings around his eyes tighten, and the black dots within them seem to sparkle. It's him. My God, it's him. I think it's time to come out now, the static voice whispers. Can you stay with me? Panic, cold and sharp, cuts through the grief. No. I scramble forward on my hands and knees and reach for him, to hold him. The instant my hands touch his shoulders, 1,000 tiny needles punch through my skin. The glassy bristles are like shards of fiberglass, embedding themselves in my palms and fingers. But I don't let go. I will not let him go again. The pain is nothing. Please don't go. Please don't go. Please, Kaylin. But you wanted me to go, he says. Not an accusation, just a simple, soft fact. The truth of it hits me like a physical blow. I did. I wanted the suffering to end. I was a coward. I was a monster. I left him alone when he needed me most. Tears streamed down my face, but I force a broken smile. I'm not leaving you. Never again. He looks away, and the moonlight catches the sheen on his chitinous skin. I waited for you. I was scared to go by myself. The words ripple across the surface of the water. I pull him closer, wrapping my arms around his sharp, brittle body. The spines dig into my chest, my arms, my face. I don't care. Please don't go, I whisper into the space where his ear should be. I have to. He turns his head, and his eyes lock with mine. Thank you for finding my Mosasaurus. I knew you would. A weight I didn't even know I was carrying lifts from my soul. The crushing guilt gives way to a profound, bottomless sorrow. I hug him tighter, feeling the thorns pierce deeper. Warmth spreads across my chest, and I see the bathwaters turning a pale, swirling pink. My blood. My offering. I love you, Kaylin, I sob, my words muffled against him. I'm so sorry. I love you so much. Thank you, Mommy. The static crackles, softer now. You are the best one. The edges of my vision blur and darken. I feel him begin to change in my arms, a feeling of disintegration, like he's turning to sand. I feel my face hit the water as the world goes black. I woke up in a hospital. They said I lost a lot of blood from dozens of puncture wounds they couldn't quite explain. I've been home for a week. The bathroom is just a bathroom again. The silence is back, but it's different. It's not a heavy, accusatory silence anymore. It's just empty. He gave me a gift. He came back to forgive me. He took my guilt with him. But forgiveness doesn't erase the sin. I don't feel at peace. I don't feel happy. I just feel the quiet, hollow space where he used to be. I carry it with me. I always will. It's the price I pay. It's the least I can do.